Yeah, in the first phase of my professional life, I was an organist, a musician. I was also composing. And then came in '90 the invitation to become director of the opera house in Brussels, La Monnaie du Monde, which changed completely my life for 27 years. And of course I continued playing, but the time for music was much more limited, and I had to use it very very well. That period is now over, and I'm coming back completely to music. Yeah, I started composing, also composing for the organ quite early. In the 70s, I made pieces for big organ and electronic organ, for example. But it was not my major activity as a musician. It was more performing, playing, teaching. Then, but already in the 80s, before becoming an opera intendant, I had started to write, for example, new pieces for very old instruments. I found that the historic instruments should not only be relating to the music of the past. Mm-hmm. They are so beautiful, they are so colorful, they have so much personality, like human beings, that I wanted to bring them to life. And to show they are so beautiful, there is no reason to limit them, to keep them within the music of their own time. I've been always very happy in sharing my love for music. So I was very active in youth and music, jeunesse musicale in the 80s. And when I became the director of the Brussels Opera House, then I decided immediately to create an education department in order to facilitate the work with the schools, for the schools, with the kids. And I always was fascinated to see how clear it was that opera was not their culture, as well as the organ music is not their culture. But if you do it well, if you take them seriously, they will love it. And you just have to give them a little bit of introduction, to give them some keys, and then they will appropriate a Wagner, a Verdi, a Mozart opera, or even a contemporary or a Baroque opera. I think maybe because of the visual aspect of the opera, there is something quite appealing, quite attractive to the young generation. But of course, it's our responsibility to invite them, to go to them and to invite them to come and enjoy. So we have been developing both in Brussels and in Aix-en-Provence a lot of activities for these young people. We have a chance today, I think, to attract a brand new public to this very old form. Yes, it's very clear that organ is a little bit in the same situation than classical music in general or opera. That it's not anymore something obvious. It's very much a caricature, what people have in mind about organs. So I think it's very interesting today to try to invent new forms of concerts, of meetings, to let people discover the fantastic variety of the sounds of an organ. And for example, here in Beaux-Arts in Brussels, since a few years we have a brand new organ in this beautiful hall. And this year in September, we had for the first time an organ night. And all the seats here were taken off. And the audience could even lie and listen to music. So I'm fascinated to see these new trends where the organ music, all this beautiful religious and sacred music that comes from very long time, is again has a chance to live and to enter in a new life with a new audience. I had the chance of discovering a duo organ in Göteborg in Sweden in October, and I was fascinated to see how the young kids were really happy and excited about building it. I think it's very good when you give today the chance new people to do something by themselves. So what I think is interesting is to increase to find new forms of participation. Because the more opportunities you offer young people to participate, to be actively involved, the more chance we have also to attract them to concerts or to other cultural events. I always believe that music is not made for competitions, but that competition can serve music. And especially for young organists today, it's so interesting and special to come from Japan or China or from Spain and be given a chance to play these wonderful instruments they never could have access to in their own country. I very much hope that for all of them, the winners and the non-winners, all the participants, it will be a fantastic opportunity to enjoy music, to enjoy these instruments, to really discover what is so special. So, and to see and to hear how this kind of music will be perfect on that one and less perfect on another one. I think that as an experience is a very fundamental experience for a young musician, and when they go back to their own life, to their own church or own concerts, they can still live with that memory. It's very interesting if we think about these competitions, the famous competitions of the Baroque period, like the competition between Froberger and Wegmann. It was much more a meeting between two musicians than a real confrontation. And the wonderful thing is they became very good friends. And of course, both did the best of what they could offer to the musicians. But I think the word competition is a little bit too competitive for me, and I would by far prefer to remember what kind of exchange happened between these musicians. And I would love to have the same today, that this competition like Alkmaar now in 2019 is a wonderful opportunity for young people to meet, to listen to each other, to get inspired by the others, and maybe to do themselves things that are at the best possible they can offer. Probably the biggest challenge in being a member of a jury in a music competition is to try to forget about yourself and just be open to what these young musicians will offer, and will perform. I think we should be open to discover new talents, new way to use these wonderful instruments. But I think more important than that is the capacity of making music, of moving human hearts. And I very much hope it will be the case.